everyone, it's Zoe, and I'm trying this again. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I'm not even sure if there's going to be a way that I can see messages. I may have to end up moving over to Facebook. But I was hoping that by coloring here, I could then save this live video to YouTube easily so that for those of you that weren't able to join live, you can watch it later. So, yay, there's some people arriving. Thank you. So I can't see how the chat works. I've got the phone in front of me and I'm just hoping that I can see the messages. I want to see the messages. I don't know whether... If someone could type a message, then I can see whether it's going to come up on my screen so that I can answer. That would be very, very helpful because I have a feeling it's not going to work and I may need to just go over to Facebook. Can you see everything okay? It's not looking like it's going to work because I cannot see anything. What if I press that? No, that's not going to do anything for me. No. And yeah, there's just no messages. I wonder if they're meant to be somewhere else. When I press the little message thing, it doesn't show me anything. Or you could not be writing messages. Oh, there's a message. Yay. Okay. Then it's working. Hello, Holly. Thank you for writing a message. We can get started. Awesome. Okay. Yay. So this is one of the little fairies that you will receive if you place an order anytime between now. Hi, Lucy. Oh, he's going to be moving around. He's going to be moving around. Nap time soon. So this is one of the little fairies that if you place an order any time between now and when the Make Crafty store closes, she will pop into your shopping cart so that you can save her and colour her too. And at the moment, the Make Crafty design team have put together a blog hop sharing their creations using the 3 different fairies. And this is the fairy that I coloured earlier. And I didn't actually print out the other fairy. Oh my goodness, I should have. But there's another fairy as well. So there's 3. So I thought it would be fun to colour this one for the live video. It's been so long since I have done a live video, and it's actually just been so long since I coloured. And today or the last couple of days when I've been colouring this fairy, when I first started doing her hair, I thought, oh, there's no way, it's not looking right. I can't colour anymore. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And but fortunately, it turned out okay. So I thought that we could colour this pretty one. Well, I will colour her and you can watch. And then you're welcome to colour her yourself at a later date. So, okay, I'm going to colour her skin first. So let's get started. I've got E11 and I need to get the other colours. I'm going to get my favourite colours for skin are E000, E01, E11, and when I feel like going darker, I add E13. They're just the colours that I have just got so used to that it's really difficult to move away from them, but there's so many different options out there. So you'll find a combination that just suits you and the way that you colour. So... and that's just what's happened to me over the years. Oh, I should check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Does everything sound okay? And can you see everything okay? Are you getting enough, like it's not fuzzy or anything like that? Is it nice and clear? That is something I should have asked. And can you see when I color? Well, not with that marker. Oh, excellent. Super. All right. So I'm going to start with my E01, and that's my main skin color. Oh, excellent. Thanks, Lucy. That's my main my main skin color, my main skin shade, and then the others are complementary. So my lighter shade will go in the lighter areas, and then my two darker shades will go into the shadow areas, or the areas where I want to form depth. So to begin with, I always start with my medium shade, and I use it as like a base, and it's where I lay down the first initial stages of the shaping of the face, for example. So what I'm going to do, I love that these little fairies have their eyes closed. I just think it makes them look so sweet. And the illustrator originally had them open. I said, no, I want them all closed. I want them all dreaming and thinking, you know, of new possibilities and looking really sweet. I don't know. It's just cute. So I'm going to add in a little crease to where I think the top of her eyelid would be, because I'm really going to have the rest of her face quite light, and then a little bit of a nose, and then I'm going to start coming in from the sides and just adding that shape around, trying to form the shape of her face being round. And see how I'm just flicking it from the edges towards the center, because this is where her face is going to be rounder and be closer to the viewer. Now I'm just going to come up around the top. I'm going to start adding some shape along the top, coming in towards the center. And another thing I'm going to do is, no, actually I'm not going to. I'm not going to form any other shape on her face. I'm going to go for a cartoony look, so I'm going to have it nice and light and soft all the way through. If I wanted to go for a little bit more depth, I could add a little bit of shading across her nose here, or the bridge of her nose, and that would help to push that little bit of her eyes and that top section of her nose back. But I'll see how I go. I feel like I want it to be nice and light and bright, but let's just start here. I'm also going to add just a little bit of shading under her chin here, and I'm going to come in with my darkest shade straight away and just deepen that a little bit. And immediately you'll see how that pushes the neck back and it brings the face forward, the head forward. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, look at that. There we go. That's pretty good. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with E11 just under here. And then I'm going to start using E11 to add a little bit more depth to some of these creases and areas that I laid down my first layer with. Oh, it has been so long since I have done live colouring. I actually feel nervous. And especially because, yeah, it's just been a while since I've, done a lot of colouring in general. And here I am trying to explain how to colour. I feel a little bit fake at the moment. It's like, do as I do when I haven't been doing it myself. But yes, these things happen, don't they? All right, so thanks, Lucy. Luckily I have you. I should keep you in my pocket, pull you out every time I need a confidence boost. Okay, so I am switching back to the E01. So I don't want to leave this to dry too long before I come in and soften it. But the trick is is to follow the direction of the line that you have colored, and that helps to smooth it and keep it nice and soft and keep all of your lines. If you keep all of your coloring strokes in the same direction, you don't get the crazy coloring mismatch. Like coloring in the circle. Hi, Jenny. Coloring in circles and all that sort of stuff. You waste too much ink, and you end up with blotchiness. And yeah, just flick and keep all of your strokes in the same direction, and it will end up being really nice and smooth. You'll get smooth transitions. Everything will look great. So as you can see, I just slowly layer and layer and layer as I'm building towards that center. And because I'm talking, I'm taking longer. If I was just doing this on my own, I'd be a lot faster. But, you know, I'm trying to explain as I color so that you can, I don't know, so you can do it too. All right, so E13, I want to add just a little bit extra depth before I come in with my lightest shade. And so I'm just going to add a little bit here under her hair. I lost a little bit in the crease here, and over here, and a little bit on the nose. And that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to quickly soften that, not with the E11, I'm going to soften that with the E01, because I don't want it to start getting too dark. And now I'm going to soften everything with the E000. Now, one thing that you can make a mistake of doing is putting your light color over the dark. Don't, because what that will do is start making it too blotchy. So I'm only going to the edge of that light color, of the medium shade, I should say. I'm not going over all of my coloring, because I don't want to pick up, I don't need to blend that any further with the dark shade. See what I mean? So now I've got that blended, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to touch it anymore. So I've got my light color in the middle, I've got my medium, and then I've got my dark around the edges, just to help bring, actually her eyelids are a bit too light. All right, her eyelids are too light, so I'm just going to with my E01, I'm just going to flick. So that's the thing, once something dries, all of a sudden you're like, no, it's too late. Yeah, but that's all right. So I'm just flicking from that edge there and just making sure that that's all gonna, all right, I'm happier with that. That looks better. She doesn't look like she's got these great big white eyes. Okay, so hello, Andrea. It is a bit like riding a bike. It is a little bit like that. Still nervous, but hey, we're like 13 minutes in, and all I've done is colored her face. Golly, I'm gonna have to hurry up. All right, so back with the E01. Let's get a move on. I'm gonna start coloring her skin here. Let's bring a crease right up the middle here. She looks a little bit naked there. Golly. All right. You have all night? Oh, thanks, Jenny. I think it will. Oh, yes. Well, considering, you know, this is the last time. Oh, I've got to stop talking about it. I'm going to be teary-eyed. If you haven't already, do go check out the blog hop. I haven't looked at the blog hop yet. My design team said that's probably not a good idea to go on the blog hop before I come on the video. So I am saving that until afterwards. And yes, it's been a little bit of an emotional day thinking about the end. A wonderful journey it has been. a wonderful journey it has been. All right, so now this is me saving myself from turning into a blubbering mess, and we're going to colour some arms. So I didn't explain a lot then. I was just switching between my medium and my medium dark shade and just building up the shading, trying to form the shapes. Pop the bubbles when you're done. Yes, and the beginning of another, that's true. So I'm just switching to E13. I still need to be creative in some way, so I'm still going to be doing something creative, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I've always loved photography, so I think I may dabble in a little bit of photography and see how that turns out. And then, yeah, see, I don't know. I love cooking. Maybe I need to become a chef. And I'll feed people. Give them food. I'm not sure. But, thank you, Lucy. But I'm certainly looking forward to doing something a little bit different, a little bit more, maybe even outdoorsy, not sitting in front of the computer so much. And now I am switching to my lighter shade just to fill in all these white areas before I add some more depth. Sometimes I feel like I need to, you'd be my food taster. Sometimes I feel like I need to fill in all of the white area before I can see where I want to add more depth. That starkness can really create problems with your mindset sometimes. So now I'm just going to add some more depth. I think she needs a little bit of... I'm not sure what I'm thinking of her so far. I feel like I'm struggling. But that's a great thing. If you slowly build up your layers, you can keep adding. If you add too much in the beginning, it's harder to take it away. Don't even know what I was doing then. What was that? Okay, let's just soften that and then add some depth and then start again. Come in with E11. Alright, that's a bit better. Alright. Adding some more depth. Do you move around this much when you're colouring as well? And by that I mean like quick a dab over there and a dab over there and... And see how again I'm following the same strokes so that I can make sure that's nice and smooth. The transition between the different shades so you get that nice gradient. Alright. So I just want that to be a little bit darker under her chin. I've got to be careful now, it's starting to pull up there. Alright. Okay. Next. Boy, you guys are seeing like it closer than I can see with my own eyes. Okay. Now let's just quickly do her legs. Super, super fast. down one side. I'm going to bring it across. And then the trick is, let me just show you what the trick is. So the trick is you want to curve it. So to get your shadow, we're not going to do petals because that would look weird. But if you just curve your shadow like this, and then we'll do the same on this side, just curving it. That will look much better than trying to cast a shadow of the petals. And then I'm just going to soften that now. And then again, coming down to the ear 1. And then the lightest shade. Done. Yay, legs done. Okay, so next, my goodness, what should we do next? The hair or the dress? I think we'll do the dress. Actually, I think we'll do the dress. What color should we do the dress? Color should we do the dress? You know what? We're doing yellow because I did a poll on Instagram asking who wanted to do pink or a yellow dress, and everyone voted pink, but I wanted them to, oh, you want blue. But I wanted to do yellow, and I had even put new ink in my yellow markers, and everyone chose pink. So guess what? I choose. We're doing yellow. And do I have those yellow markers here? Do I have them? I should do. I put everything away. That didn't work out very well. Oh, there it is, E11. So Y11, and where is my other one? Oh dear. Okay. I think we'll do that. And we've got that one. And that's, no. That's the same colour. And where's the light thing? Uh-oh. You know what? Maybe we're going to have to do blue. We may have to do blue. Because I'm missing a marker. Did I put it in here? No. Did I put it in here? No. Okay. Oh, that's a shame. Haha, it is funny. I get it. I get it, it's funny. Alright, so let's, you know what? We're going to do something else. We're going to do yellow and blue. Oh, not with that marker. My markers, see, this is what happens when you haven't used your markers for a very long time. They don't work anymore. Some of mine are very dry. Okay. I should be able to, no, I won't be able to. I should be able to do it with these. Let's go here. We're going to do a turquoisey blue with, alright, with a yellow. And I'm going to do dark blue. So, let me explain to you what I am doing right now. I'm going through and working out combos. So, I'm on the side scratching. I'm going, yep, I'm going to switch those two together. And here I'm working out, okay, I like that colour. and I'm going to mix it with this color. But I've decided I also need a dark blue, so I'm going to throw that color in as well. And I also need a dark yellow, which I'm going to throw in an orange. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to throw in a warm dark yellow, I think. Yes. All right. So, and this is what I do on the side all the time, like the side of my paper pad. So I've got like a big paper pad that I colour on so that I've got something to soak up any ink underneath, and allows me to just do all of my combos on the side. And I will do that to try and work out how I'm going to mix colours together, and is that shade the same? Is it going to work together? And the other thing too is I think some people forget that. So for example, I'm going to bring up this. When I decided, okay, well, when Instagram decided that I was colouring her dress pink, I picked out pink colours. So I picked out some different pink shades. But what actually makes this dress come alive is that I've also added purple. I've also added black into some of these creases. And I've added a little bit of blue as well. And it's those extra little colours that aren't in the pink family that help to bring life to your images. So, for example, like if you're going with just a blue, when you bring in a completely different shade of blue, it helps to add that extra colour to your image. Anyway, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a yellow in the body area of the dress, and then we'll do, oh actually no, you know what, we'll do blue in the body and we'll do yellow petals. That could be pretty. So I'm going to start with the petals. And what's my goal? I haven't thought about this like you are seeing it happen. I'm going to do them, okay, so I'm going to do them with one side dark and then the other side light. And that, I think that will be pretty in the long run. So I'm going to come in with my Y17, and I'm just going to come in all the way along the underside of each petal. And now light source is coming over here, by the way. So that is why I am coming from this direction. And on this side, I'm just going to come under here. Like so. We'll fix the underside, the back petals at a later date. I find it's easier to work with what you know straight away. So work on what is easy when it comes to working with shading, and then the other stuff comes later. So I'm just going to come in now with my YR27. You see how I decided that here I'm not going to take it all the way up, because I don't want it to be the same everywhere. I just want to add some depth here and there. And so as we're further away, I'm adding less of that, just to give it some interest. Hi, Laura. So now I'm going to come in with the Y17 again. I'm going to soften that line, following that same line, so that as I flick it, as I extend it, I am blending it together. This is so big, this printout. So this is a standard size card, and I've zoomed her right in because I thought it would be great for the live video, but actually it just makes it longer to colour things. But I do love this look. Delphine started doing it years and years ago, and it's, yeah, I love it. I love this style. Okay, so I've just picked up the Y11, and I'm going to fill in all this white area. I'm softening all those edges as I flick. And now you can see it's all coming together nice and easy. Looks great. Why people don't like yellow, I do not know. Doesn't get used enough. So I just want to just think about how my dress is going to finish here. And I think I'm just going to make it pretty there. All right. That will work. Okay, so underside. Again, this time, what's my plan? So this, I'm going to make them dark. So I'm going to fill them all with the medium colour. It's not going to be any light area at all, just so I can see what I'm working with. Hi, Amelia. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the darkness at the back here. So what I'm not trying to do is I'm not trying to use these petals as to cast a shadow, because they would not be casting a shadow. They would be casting a shadow down this direction. But I just want to push these other petals back. So the actual top of this dress would actually be just creating a shadow underneath. So it's not the front of these. Do you know what I mean? We're not like casting. We haven't got our light source here. Our light source is coming from above. So it would be naturally casting a shadow down this way, not on the petals behind. But we want to create some depth so that it looks like it's behind her legs. So that is why we're adding the darkness. But it's not in the shape of the petals that are in front, because that would not be right. And what we can do later is we can actually use like a purple or something to bring in a curve to help add that extra depth. But anyway, we have the darkness there now, and we will do that later. I do feel like I've just lost a little bit of depth here, so I'm just going to come back in. Okay, and then I'm just softening that edge again. All right, let's do the top part of her dress, and we're going to do that with blue. And I'm going to start with, I'm a little bit concerned about the colours that I chose. Doo-doo. But I'm going to make it work. So let's give her some definition around the edges here. And so I've got BG05 here. And now I'm just going to pull it away from the edge just a little bit. And I'm going to come in with my B39. Add some depth again. Come in with my BG05. I'm going to thicken that line now. Come in with my B39. And I feel like I need to get another colour in between, so that's all right. We'll sort that out. That's what this is all about, experimenting and then running with it. Depends on what you're colouring and how big of the area as to whether you need to, how many shades that you might need to mix and match your colours. But because I've just used that dark blue in a larger area, it means I may need to stretch to go a little bit further with another colour. Alright, so I'm just going to bring in BG15 and fill in the whole rest, because now I'm going to that greeny colour that I wanted. Turquoisey, greeny, aqua, whatever you want to call it. No, it's more of a turquoise. I do need a slightly lighter colour, so I'm just going to do that. BG11. Do you have any ink in here? No. Let's try YG41. Bet you didn't expect me to pick up that colour. So I'm going to throw in YG41 here. I know we haven't gone quite blue here, but it does have a blue in it. It does have a blue in it. It's just a little bit more of a greeny colour, you know, because it's green, dress, yellow flower. Anyway. I'm trying to be funny and I'm not being funny. Okay. But do you see how by having all these little different shades added, you get a little bit more interest? It's not just blue and it's not just green, but you've got all these different little elements coming together to create a little bit of interest. I'm just going to add a little bit more of that dark blue here. And I've got the BG05 softening. And I've kept my rim light there just so it doesn't get lost, especially when we start colouring the hair. No, it is not blue. I know, but I am using a blue. I'm just mixing it with other colours. Oh, I missed that. I have a dag. I'm happy to be a dag. I think that's the best. That's a great compliment. I would, if anyone asked me, what do I think I am? I would think myself as a goofy dag and happy to be that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. A goofy dag. I'm pretty happy with that because guess what we're doing at the end? We're adding sparkles. Sparkles. Yes, see, look. Blue, the B39. The B39. All right. So sparkles at the end, so we're going to keep that plain. We have the, oh wait, let's do the shadow. Let's do the shadow and because we're going to cast the shadow all across her legs and everything. My favorite for casting shadows on anything, and if you don't have these, I highly recommend getting them, is the BV20 range. And yeah, I love them. It's what I use for nearly all of my shadows, because you can do it on skin, you can do it on all sorts of colors, and it just works out quite well. So I mean, you can't even really see what I've got there, but the BV20s, if you don't have them in your mix, add them to your wish list. So I'm going to start with, this is going to be too light to use the BV20. The BV20 is too light to use on this dark shade. So that's one thing to be careful of. So because we've used, let me give you some advice. Because we've used markers with a 7 on the end. If I came in with a BV20 with a 0 on the end, all I'm going to actually end up doing is taking ink off. I can probably, I'm about to use BV23 and I can probably get away with it on the skin, but I should probably switch to the BV25 on the yellow. And that's going to stop it from lifting the ink off. I'll show you actually. Hey, let's do a show and tell. 1 second, I'll get some paper. Oh. So it actually ends up acting like the colour of Splendor. Think of it that way. So we have YR27. And if I was to come in and try and add some shadow with the BV20, look what happens. All it does is pick up that ink. So if I come in with the, let me just add that ink again. And so you can test this before you actually, if you've coloured something on your image and you're not sure whether something that you're going to put over the top is going to lift up the ink, you can test it off site on a bit of scrap paper. So BV25 I think will be okay. Actually, you know what? It's not. Oh my goodness. I mean, like, it's sort of okay, but it's not really. So for me, I'm going to have to jump to the BV29 to be able to do that colouring without lifting up the ink. So, oh my goodness, thank goodness I tried to do a show and tell, hey? Woo! I would have saved it, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so let's start with the BV23 on the skin. So what I want to do is I'm going to imagine that we've got like a circle coming through here. So if we've got a circle coming through here, I'm going to take that up there. Circles coming through, circles coming through. It's not even a circle. It's like, just think of it the edge of a circle. I don't know why I said circle. It's an arc. Okay. So we've got our purple coming through there now. And now I'm going to come in with the BV29 and we're going to, so what we're going to do now is, I don't know how I'm explaining this. So the legs are closer to us than the petals that are behind. So rather than follow that line directly, you want to start it a little bit off. So a little bit further back, so a little bit higher. So I'm going to start it like here and then bring it through this way. I'm going to bring that down. So think of it as, I do. Let me grab that. All right. So let's imagine this. You have some legs. You have a frilly little dress like so, and then you have the back of the dress like so. And you want to show that this is the front, this is the mid, oh yeah, I'm glad that he's gone to sleep well. And this is the back. So these are your 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. And so you want to show that depth. And in order to do that, you want to have a cast shadow here. And then you want to start your next cast shadow for the back a little bit higher. And obviously it's also going to be darker to help make it look, not that colour, this one, to make it look like it's further back. I don't even know if that explained it well enough. Did that make any sense? So you want to stagger it. You want to stagger your cast shadows as you are moving back. Did that make sense? I know that that particular image is not the best, but I'm hoping that that makes a little bit of sense. All right, so I'm going back to the BV25 and we're going to extend this arc. That's not a circle, that's an arc. Oh, why did I say, I meant to say BV29. BV29. And we're extending, extending, extending. And I didn't create my shadow long enough, deep down far enough. So we need to go again. So I'm going to start this way actually. I'm going to have my shadow come here. Coming here. Coming here. And then I'm going to soften it with my BV25. So I'm softening, softening. And it's okay if it picks up some of that ink now, because we're softening, softening. And you know what? It's really scary when you start doing this, but don't be scared because it comes together at the end. It's one of those annoying things where it doesn't come to, it looks really bad until you get to the end. So just trust the process. Just coming in again, I'm going to soften that just a little bit at the edge here. And then we need to fix up the skin. So I'm going to use my BV20 and I'm going to bring that out a little bit further, softening it like so, creating that stagger that I was talking about. And it took, because it was too light, it took away some of that skin colour. So I'm just coming in with that darker shade, like so. And it doesn't hurt to put your skin colour back over the top, or whatever main colour that you need to, if you feel like it's taken too much of that colour away. But I like the sharpness of it. I think it sort of reflects life. But it depends on what sort of colouring you're doing. I mean, like, you don't have to do realistic type colouring. And you know what? No one's going to be judging your shading. So, I mean, like, I'm just trying to share some tips. But no one sits there and goes, oh, look at the way that she cast that shadow. Or he, I should say. I know that there's guys that are colouring stamps as well. But no one's like sitting there doing that. They're looking at the overall picture. So, yes. It feels very dark, even though it's correct. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, I wanted to use the YR27. I'm just coming in to add a little bit of, it feels a little bit too desaturated, so I'm just adding a little bit of the colour back. Coming in again with my yellow. I just want this whole thing to be softer, smoother. That's a great thing about Copics. I love that you can just add so many layers. And by the way, if you're looking at this going, oh, what has she done? Once I add all the other colours around her, it'll look even better. I usually don't do my shading until the very end. But yeah, I went a little bit out of sync with this. But it's good, it's good. It's look good. I like it. It's not bad. Okay, let's do her hair. Let's do her hair. Let's do her hair. Oh, look, poor ears. I didn't colour them. She can't hear without coloured ears. All right. I'm just doing a very quick colour here. Should I maybe, no, I want to do her hair first and then I'll colour in the flowers on the side. And then I've just got EO1. Whoops. What colour hair? Do you think black? Do you think we should go black? Black hair? I feel like she needs black hair. Who agrees? Black? You know what? You don't have a choice now. I'm going black. So I like to use the cool greys for my black hair. And sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, I'll add a blue for highlights. And we might do that. We might bring in the BG05 for some highlights in the black hair. So I'm going C10 and do 110. I don't, C9, C7. C5, maybe even C2. I do like to use a lot of shading for my black hair. Anyway, we'll see what we go with. I'm starting with a C5. And would you like me to do like the strokes like this? I think we might do that type of style. What I want to do is this section of her hair here. I feel like this is the area that's in the front and this is the section that's behind. So I'm going to push that section behind back first and then work on the front. So I've got C5. I'm going to start bringing in some strokes, coming down. And I think this area is all going to be dark because that's pushed away. This is all going to be dark, and then we'll bring in some highlights down the bottom here. So I'm going to, so when I say that's all going to be dark, what I mean is that I'm not going to have my highlights in the back part. I'm going to keep my lightest shades for the front. And that will help to create the depth all the way through. But I still don't want it to turn into a great big block of colour at the back. So I'm going to create lines all the way through to help give it that texture of hair. So this is where I'm going to start adding. And the other thing is you don't want to think about it too much either. So this is just my beginning stage. So I'm just sort of working out where all of my flicks are going to be. And see how I've just created that little jagged edge there? That helps to make it not look like what I just did over here. But that's okay over here because it's going to be dark. But over here I want it to be slightly lighter. You don't want it to all look just like lines. By sort of breaking it up with some flicks, that sort of helps to, yeah, you know, make it look less uniform, I guess. Like what hair really is. All right. And we'll do more of that on the front sections, on these sections over here. So now I'm going to come in with, straight in with the C9. And I'm essentially going to start adding that to some of these areas that I feel need to be darker. Just realized how much I talk. Goodness. As soon as I'm quiet, I'm like, oh, we have silence. We can all concentrate now. But okay. But then, yeah, I'd need to have like music or something in the background. And you're just going to have to put up with me talking. You're biased, Lucy. You're biased. But I love you for it. All right. We're going to follow this one down. Bring that one right through. Let's follow this one down. Thank you. And let's just do a little flick that way. I want to just make sure I'm sort of hiding that line. So I'm starting to, I didn't do my lines at 100% black, but I didn't do them super light because I wanted you guys to be able to see the lines as I'm colouring them. But as I'm colouring black hair, they will disappear a little bit, which is pretty cool. Let's follow this line down and bring that to a flick. I'm going to flick that. And you see how I'm just going around that petal a little bit just to create my spot before I flick, because otherwise you get that blop where you first put your marker down. So I've just created a space for me to safely do that. Now I can flick it and not get a blob on my petal. And now I'm going to flick up this way. I'm going to bring that in here and flick down that way and there. Alright, that will do for the moment. Well, actually, let's carefully colour in here a little bit. This image, her hair keeps swirling down. It's so pretty. Okay, so let's make sure that we've got the depth on this side here. And bring in one more flick here. Okay, now we can thicken all of those little flicks that we just did. Coming in with the C7, gonna essentially go over the top, starting to build those layers and build that depth. I don't want to color in all of my white yet, but I'm just thickening all of those thicks. I'm thickening the thicks. I'm thickening the flicks. What do you guys do? What do you listen to? You have the TV going when you're coloring? Do you have, are you in your own thoughts? Do you have music? What do you do when you are coloring? Do you have YouTube on in the background? Do you, what do you do? Do you have podcasts? I love podcasts. I've learned so much from podcasts. It's such a great idea. Or are you silent? Sometimes I'm silent. I know you can't imagine it right now. Oh, audiobooks are great too. Yes. Hi, Bridget. Thank you. Thanks for joining. She's coming along. The thing about doing hair like this is that it can look really bad right about now. Like if you look at that, it just looks gross, like it does. Mostly TV, Netflix, or DVDs. I don't have Netflix anymore. Ah, thanks, Bridget. Did you get some favorites? Did you get some that you'd had on your wish list? I binge watched so much Netflix, and then I thought I can't do it anymore. I have to get outside. Climb some mountains. That's what I thought. Mind you, it's a bit harder to climb mountains at night time when is the most likely time that you end up binge watching TV. So, I am now coming in with the C5 and filling in all of these little white areas. That's always the way, isn't it, Bridget? Always the way. There are over 1,000 digistamps in that store, and I don't know how anyone could decide, to be honest. Like if you had just got the link to the store, if someone was just like, oh, did you know about this store? And you went over there, I don't know how you would choose. Like obviously I love all of them. I might be a little bit biased, but I don't know how you would choose. So yes, I feel for you, Bridget. I feel for you. All right. This is still, I know it doesn't look amazing yet because we haven't done this part. What are you binge watching at the moment, Amelia? What show has you captivated? I wonder if that part there is part of the hair. No, you know what? I made a mistake. That little section here was the front. So guess what? We can fix that. What we're going to do is get the 110. I'm going to add that in here. Add some depth. And then I'm going to come in with the C7 and just soften that a little bit. Yeah, I need to create a little bit more uniform. Yeah, anyway, I need some jagged parts. I'm just gonna do this. And I don't know why my brain starts doing this, so it's hard for me to explain what I'm doing, but I'm breaking some of the sections up a bit. It just looks better in the long run. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now, yep. So I want this to come together. And here. And this needs to be thicker. See how I just sort of created that as more of a triangle rather than just a line. Just helps to make it look like we just haven't got all these lines everywhere. And I think that just comes with practice when you're looking at stuff. You're like, no. There we go. That's building it a little bit better. Happier with that. See how I've now got sort of like these jagged areas rather than just flicks. I feel like I'm failing in my explanations tonight. That's looking better. See? Look at that. See how that is? Looks much better. And it's still dark because we're going to have this really nice and light. But that's still dark, but you've still got all of those little contrast of the different layers of hair folding behind her. And you don't have a great big blob. And that's what you want to try and avoid. And it's hard to avoid when you're working with dark colours, but you want to try and avoid it. So I just want to darken this one up a little bit. I've got my 110 here. Darken that a little bit there. Then I've switched to C7. All right. So I'm looking forward. Yes, that is the goal. So that whole section, Bridget, is I'm moving that whole section. I'm pushing it back because then I want to bring this forward. Now I want to show you what my goal is. What is my goal for her hair here is that I'm imagining that this is a curve and coming around, and this is going to be the closest part of the hair to us. I'm not having it in the middle. This edge here is going to be the closest part of her hair. So imagine that is behind, so that's like the middle, coming forward, 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 and then the front. So that means that there'll be no black at the front here because I want that to be really nice and light. So I'm going to start with the C7 actually. I'm just going to do one side first, and sorry, she's upside down because that's the way I colour. And you'll have to turn your screen upside down if you don't like seeing things upside down. I do apologise. Hopefully you're not watching on television because that would be difficult. Okay. C7. And I'm going to... Hi, Lou and Mo. Sewing. What were you sewing? So I've got C7 and I'm going to just start bringing in my flicks. And I'm just going to keep them far apart at the moment. And then another one here. And what I want to do is just imagining that I've got another flick coming up here. And that is extending down between here to create my jagged edge that I'm going to start building. Up like that. Down here to create my jagged edge. And then coming here, I'm going to bring another one to here. So coming up, bringing it down, and then here, bring it along the outside, and that's it. So that's it. And now I'm going to come in with my C5 and we're going to thicken these lines whilst we extend them. Again, working on my flicks. So now I'm going to make this a little bit thicker so that we get some of those variations. Oh, that's awesome. What a great idea. So one thing I think is really easy to make a mistake is when you're coloring something and an object is in front of it, like hair, for example, is it's easy to go, I'm just going to flick from this side and then I'm going to flick from this side without thinking about what happens through behind that arm. So as you can see, I'm trying to keep it as the line is going, it continues, like it's continuing behind that arm, and the arm, I'm acting as though the arm isn't there other than the fact that I'm not coloring through the arm. So yeah, I think that's one thing to try and keep in mind when you're coloring things that go behind something, is try not to like create a shadow underneath it and try not to create a shadow at the top, because yeah, you're going to ruin the whole effect of what you're trying to achieve. So I'm going to come in and just bring that down because I need to create something there so that it's not a great big highlight. And a little bit up here. So we can add in the highlight color now, and then, am I going to add some blue? No. So I'm going to add in my C2, so then I can start creating the depth. So bring in the C2. And if you wanted to with black hair, you can absolutely leave your highlight white, because as we add more color, there'll be less of an area anyway. But I just like to color in stuff so I can see what I'm working with. Plus, I do need to pull back some ink on this. So I'm just gonna remember my mistake from earlier. So I'm using the 0, the blender, and just pulling back some ink from earlier. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with C7 again, add more depth, slowly building up those layers, filling in that white area. And then C5, start filling in more white area, slowly thickening these areas so that we can build less and less of this white area. So yeah, it's just a matter of slowly flicking, keeping it all in the same direction until you have less of that highlight showing. It's nice and thin. Da, 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 da. It's not too bad. I feel like I've made it a little bit too dark, but coming back with the C2, and that will help to lift it again. And at the end, you can always add in some white pencil. Yeah, it's not too bad. And I can probably even add some black pencil just to push that back a little bit further as well. I'm going to just come in and add a little bit down here. It looks a little bit odd because it's not the rest of the image. So, because the rest of the hair comes down further, this little section here does look a little bit odd. So I might just keep that dark after all. Like so. All right. Now let's do the other side here. I'm going to start with that C7 again. And I actually didn't end up doing what I wanted to do. So I want to make this side a little bit darker. So I'm coming with my C5 and I'm going to flick that over here a little bit. Remember how I said I wanted to imagine it coming, that this is going to be the lighter side? So that means I need to make this side just a little bit darker. So that does that. See how just by going over the light area with that, I've created that curve that I wanted. It's as simple as that. All right, let's do this side. I'm going to use the C7 coming up from the bottom. So I'm going to have my lightest side over on her left. So I'm going to start by coming up through here. What is the goal? I'll bring that down. And then bring that down like that. I don't want to go on that edge. I do want to have that lighter than the inside because I still want to separate it. But at the same time, let's just bring that to there. And then we're going to come down through here. And then we've got this little section here. And we'll bring that up here. All right, I haven't got as much to work with, so I just have to be a little bit careful. Okay, so now we're going to thicken those lines with the C5. Like so. Starting to build them up, starting to work out where all of our separations are going to be. So funny how I catch myself where I'm talking about our, we, you, me, when the actual fact is I'm the one that's doing the colouring. It's actually me. Oh, and I have to laugh at myself because I feel like you're participating for the mere fact that you're there watching. And so yeah, so I include you as in we are doing this together. So, but I do laugh at myself because it's like, oh, you goose. Or as Amelia would call me, you dag. In the kindest way possible. But yes. I do wonder why I say it. Anyway, I do feel like we're all in this together. Next up, we're going to come in with, see, I did it again. This is what we're doing. We're coming in with the C2. Have you all got your C2s ready? Let's go. C2 in to the light areas like so. And now I'm going to start filling in that again, just like we did over here. So I'm going to come back with my C7, start layering, bringing in that depth. And then C5 to start filling in all those white areas, just thickening those lines even further. Extending, moving around the petals where I need to. And again, even though the petals are in front, I'm trying to keep the flow of that hair the same as it goes through the petal. Or goes behind the petal, I should say. Okay, so now, just before I'm just going to come back with the C2 first and just soften all those lines and see how immediately, let me just zoom in. I mean, like, it doesn't look amazing zoomed in, okay, but it'll give you an example. So see how I've got this jagged edge and the edge is so sharp. By keeping my stroke, this is such a light color compared to the C5, by keeping my stroke in the same direction, it softens that edge and gives me that really nice smooth transition between those two colors. See how hard that line is? I come in with my C2, and by going in the same direction, it softens that edge and blends it nicely. And if you do that with all of your coloring, it will work nicely. If I was trying to go round and round and round like this, I'm just shifting all of the other dark ink as well, you know, and then you end up with really blotchy, well, you end up with the being blotchy where you don't want it to be blotchy. That is what you want to try and avoid. So essentially, this is blotchy, but I want it to be blotchy, and that's what gives it that gradient. The nice smooth transition. So what I'm going to do is zoom back out again because you don't need to see it magnified. What I'm going to do is on here, I want to create that curve. So I'm going to use that C5 over this section here, and you watch how it changes. You ready? We're going to bring it down here. I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm going to bring it all the way sort of up here. And I'm even going to soften it there. So we sort of help to, I'm not 100% happy with that. But what we're now going to do is come in with the C7. Wait a second, first things first, I'm going to come in with my 110. And I'm just going to push some of this hair behind, back a little bit. So I'm just darkening that crease there, and I'll show you why. So, and here as well. And here. So now I'm going to come in with my C7 and just push this all back a little bit further. Just so that it's not a C5 under there. Just want it pushed back a little bit more, and it'll look a bit lighter once it dries. It's just the reason I did the C10 is so I wanted to avoid getting those black spots. Like I didn't want it to end up just being a big block. So just coming in, I had a little bit of a block up there. C5 to soften it. There we go. So you can see now I've still got my depth behind there, but now I've got my roundness here, but still I don't like this highlight. So what I'm going to do, I don't want it to be C5, but I don't want it to be C2. So I'm going to do the tip to tip technique, where I'm going to grab my C2. Oh, I missed that message. Who was that? Oh, hi, Chrissy. Nice to see you. So I'm going to, look how dirty my markers are. It's shameful. But the great thing about having dirty markers is that you can easily pick up the ink on the plastic rather than putting it nib to nib. It's nib to plastic. All right, so I'm just picked up the C5 or the C2. I'm going to start off the edge. So I'm going to start where I don't want to colour so that I can take a little bit of the ink off, and then I'm going to come across and just soften it a little bit. So it's not a C5 and it's not a C2, it's in between. Yeah, that looks a bit better. I'm going to lighten this a little bit too, or darken, I mean. Again, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink off my marker here. And I'm just turning it around just to make it easier for me. Again, a little bit off and then over. And just make it that little bit darker so it's not so glaring. Oh, see, doesn't that look better already? I wish, how good would it be if, like right now, but you'll be able to do this. So at the end of this, if you're watching this after the take, quickly hit back a bit and then go back and then forward, back, forward, and you can see the difference. That's the cool thing about videoing. Or watching a video not live. Yes. Okay. That is the main part of her hair. Doesn't she look pretty? I love how she's coming in. See, and oh look. You remember how it looked a bit scary, the shadow before? Doesn't it look good now with the hair? Yes. Can I have a thumbs up? Thumbs up. Okay. Next, we're going to do the top of her hair, and she's got a part. She's got a part down here, so that is going to be, oh my goodness. This was not a quick colouring session. Okay, so she's got a part down there, so we're going to start all of our flicks from there to begin with. I'm going to start with the C7 and blue on the highlights. I can put blue on the highlights. I did decide that I wasn't going to do it, but I can still do it. Like there's still highlights there to be able to add some blue. So I'll do that. I will do it at the end. Now that you've asked, I'll do it. All right, so we have, what am I doing? Oh my goodness. We have the part down here. So I'm going to start right in the middle and I'm going to flick this way. And then I'm going to do at a different point. Oh wait, let me just make sure you can see. I'm going to flick this way and then flick this way. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to extend that a little bit. And see how I'm making sure I keep the space there, because that is going to allow me to bring a flick up the middle. Okay, so now we're going to, we'll do on this side first. We're going to bring this up and flick up the middle like so. And I can do a little bit on the edge here too. And bring a flick in the middle. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to bring it up from her little fringe here. And then I'm actually going to do a double take on that one. So I'm going to bring another one up, right up here. And we'll just extend this one a little bit further. And I'm going to bring, so sometimes I like to do what I call a double point. To do a double point, you want to start in the middle of where you want your double point to be. I'm going to flick out this way so I get my point there, and then flick out that way so I get my point there. And then I've used that little center area as my starting point so that I can end with a flick on each end. So here, I want to do a double pointer. And so we're going to start with our flick here and flick down that way. And then use this space, and then use this space again to flick back that way. So we've had the beginning point at that point, so we can end with a flick there and end with a flick there. All right, so we have our base done. That was C7. Now I'm going to come and thicken them all with C5. And we'll start right here. Start where it's easier, where you know straight away. So I'm going to thicken, using that line as my guide. And then here. And then using my starting point again in the middle. So I can flick that way. Flick down into her little fringe there. And see how I'm sort of creating these jagged lines, so it's not all just one great big whole bunch of lines. I really think that's so important. And then I'm bringing that up to the point here. Being careful, I want to be careful I don't lose that little bit of a highlight there, so I'm just being really light. And I've got this little bit of a fringe happening here. I just tuck that in under there. All right, so now I want to just bring that a little bit further. Okay. See, it's looking nice already. I can see it's going to transform beautifully. I'm going to come in with the C2 right now and just fill in all the highlights so that I can then thicken up those lines where I want to. Now back to C7, so I can start darkening. And again, I'll start in the middle here. Okay, I'll darken this little section. Make sure it's pushed back. Okay, and now I've got C5 again. Whoops, I went a little bit off camera. C5, and I'm, whoops, sorry. Oh, golly, going to pieces. And so now I'm going to thicken all those areas and reduce all the highlight area. C5 here, C5. Just tidying up that part a little bit. It's not too bad. But I still feel, so the issue that I have at the moment is I just want to explain to you why I'm not 100% happy with that, is that I feel like I've got all of these white outlines around my dark areas. So that's not the look I want. So I'm just going to come in with the C2 again and just soften all those to begin with, and then show you how to break that up. And then you'll be like, oh, yeah, I get you. Yeah, so you just don't want to have, like, yeah, these outlines around it. I guess that's sort of what that shading does as well. So what we want to do is, I'm happy with it as is. So what I want to do is I want to form the shape again. So using the C5, now here, how do I explain it? So this is where the light will be hitting the most on that side. So we can shade this little section here. So I can come in now and just shade this little bit like so. And all of a sudden, see how I've now got that nice part, but I've still got all of the little breaks. But it don't have like everything outlined in white, sort of like in the light color. Now the other thing that I can do is I want to just sort of shade this little area here a little bit more. So I'm going to use the C5 and just flick that up around here as well. And that will just help to create that roundness. But I'm leaving that little fringe come forward, so I'm not covering that. And then we've created that round shape on top of her head as well. And see how that immediately has helped to break away from having all of those little highlights just zigzagging and looking really funny, quite frankly. I don't like how I've got all these highlights here. So I'm just going to soften that little bit here as well, pushing that back. And I like that a little bit better. I like that little highlight coming right through, so I'm happy because that sort of follows down the side of her head there. And I think overall that looks really quite good. Now, if you wanted to do the blue highlights in the hair, this is at the point where you do that. So I think I'm going to do it with BO2. No, I'm not, because I've got no ink in that. BO1. Please tell me you have ink. Yes, you do. So you can do it with any color, but I'm going to start with BO1 and I can always come back and add more. So I'm just going to actually, no, it's not dark enough. So we're not doing BO1. You know what? We probably need to do a greeny color. BG11 be enough? No. Ooh, BG23. Yes, I found a color. So we're going to do BG23 in her hair, and I'm going to flick that into where those highlights are. And you can even imagine this as like a reflection if you want to. So if you had lights, or you had like something cool in your background. Okay, let's say you had a candle. Let's say you had a candle for your character for Christmas. You could use these highlight areas to project the yellow from the candle, for example. That's what I normally do. So you leave your highlights for things to do your little reflections and stuff. So yeah, so here I am. And you don't have to do it through all of it. So I'm just doing it in little areas, just to have that little bit of something extra, something different. There you go. Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks for prompting me to get back onto adding some color to her hair. I love how that turned out. Oh, she needs her little eyebrows done. So I'm using the C5, not the darkest, just the C5 in here. Right. Oh my goodness, we are so close to finishing. I love how it's turned out. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me. It's looking good. We'll do the yellow flowers to match her yellow petals on her skirt. And I'm gonna show you how quickly I would normally color. So I've got my YR27. I'm coming straight in with my dark shade right here. I know what I want to do. Excited for the wings. Jenny, so am I. I actually haven't decided what I'm going to do with them. I don't know whether I need to quickly color a background so that we can do transparent wings, or if I'm just going to do, I don't know. Y17. Maybe I need to do the background. Maybe I need to do the background. We might have to do the background because everyone loves transparent wings, don't they? How did I know that was going to happen? I knew it. As soon as you mentioned transparent wings, everyone was like, yay! All right. It was a silly question to ask. I know, but I'm sitting here thinking, what color am I going to color the background? So that's where my problem lies right now. Usually I like to, or depending on how big the area is, I usually like to put a medium color down before I put a darker color down. But when I'm working in tiny little areas like this, I'll go straight to the dark color because you know what? It's such a small area and you can easily blot it. You see how I'm doing like a blotting motion? And that's only because it's like I'm not trying to do perfect blending. So you can get away with a blotting technique. Like you can't get away with a blotting technique on this because you're coloring such a large area. But here I can just dab it because it's so small. And and it's a petal. I mean, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, thanks, Holly. She came together. We weren't sure for a while, but I pulled it together eventually. Okay. Look how quickly I was able to do those petals, and I even managed to talk whilst doing so. Okay. Oh, background color. This is such a big space. Like I'm thinking, what ink do I have? Okay, if you want to do blue, let me go see what refills I have. That's going to be handy. Oh. All right. Oh, how come that marker is dead? Maybe it's too, okay. I can't do that, even though I've got the refill. Just 1 second, guys, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for that. I don't need to see whether this will be light enough. Yeah, that could be interesting. With it's not gonna work. Let me just check one more colour. Yeah, my concern is that because I'm working on such a large area, I'll run out of ink. So we want to make sure I've got the refills. All right, this is what we're doing. It's not going to be blue. It's going to be the same sort of colour. Oh, thanks, Rosemary. Hopefully your boss isn't going to sneak in on you. I'll keep my voice down. I'm going to do similar colour to her bodice here. BG23. BG23, I think it's going to be a goodie. And hopefully my colourless blender will not play up. I had to. Do you want to know a little secret of what I had to do today? It's kind of blue. It definitely is, but it's got a little bit of blue in it. But it's a blue-green. So earlier today, I wanted to use my blender marker, and I started using it, and the nib broke. And I went looking everywhere for my replacement nibs, and I couldn't find them. And so I really needed to use the blender marker, so I went and found a CO, I think, CO or COO, and I pulled the nib out of the COO. I completely washed it in like alcohol, and then it's now in here. So that was my quick fix for not finding a nib. So if you ever need to use a marker and you don't have a spare nib, just get one of the other ones. It won't help when you need to use the other marker, but yeah, you can wash them and then refill them, and yeah, it works. There's evidence right here. Okay, after that little sidetrack, we are now going to, I'm going to start with the BG10, and I feel like I need to just quickly refill it. It's a bit dry for this. Like, you see how you can hear the scratchiness? Not good, not good. All right, BG10. Have you ever been refilling your markers and then started stressing about potentially not putting the right ink in the right marker? Like, especially if you've got a number of refills out of the similar shade of colour. Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time. I have a little stress attack and I'm like, oh, I'm just off camera here refilling BG10. Try not to make a mess. All right, that'll do for the moment. Oh, did you know, it took years before I knew this, did you know that, see that direction of the nib? It is an indication of the direction you should put the nib back in. Just wondering if you knew that, because I didn't know that for a very long time. And if you didn't know that, now you do. Okay. I am full of information tonight. Full of tidbits. Da, 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 da. You know what would have been good? Had I have been forward thinking, we could have done the background first and used Jennifer's technique of dabbing the material on to create the textured background. And that would have been really cool. But I wasn't forward thinking, so I'm afraid we won't be doing that. If you want to do that, look up Jennifer Dove, and she does that. She's pretty cool. She's pretty awesome. I was going to say an Aussie swear word then, and I'm glad I didn't. Okay, BG10. I mean, like, not a bad word, just an Aussie version. You know, they got in trouble on an ad for saying that word many, many years ago. I don't think they'd get in trouble these days, but at the time, it wasn't appreciated. Okay, so BG10 wants to know it. You guys say it over there all the time. You UK mob. BG23. And so I'm going to blotting like so. And then I'm going to blot again with the BG10. It starts with B. And it's really not a bad word, but some people may be offended by it. BG10. I'm off to, so only. Thanks so much, Kimberly. Thank you for popping in. Much appreciated. Hopefully you can pop on at a later date to watch the video. Mind you, you definitely want to skip forward because it's taken a lot of time. BG10 still blotting. And I'm going to come in and just blot some more with the BG23. You know what we might do? We might add a little bit of yellow. BG10. So I'm just doing blotting and softening. Blotting and softening. And I'm just going to bring this in a little bit here. Yes, we're going to add some yellow. So we're going to add the Y11. Blot it a little bit over. And then I want to use the blender marker on the yellow. And then, so I've got so many markers open. BG10. And I've got my BG. So I'm I think I'm trying to create, did you notice the think? I think what I'm trying to do? I think I'm trying to create like imagine a garden background. See, now that I've said that I was going to say that word, I'm feeling like you all probably think it's a bad word, and I know that it's really not. And so now I'm like having a little mental issue with myself for having mentioned it in the first place. It's terrible. It's a terrible circumstance to be in, especially with Mo listening. All right, so I've got the green. I'm bringing a little bit of that green in here, or blue-green, I should say. Hey, it was so close to that. That's so close. Oh, thanks for saving me, Chrissy. No, it wasn't booger. It wasn't booger. Booger, booger, booger. No. Where are my Aussie friends? Oi. Oi. See how pretty that's starting to look as it's all coming together? See, I need to just soften the transition between these two here. Don't be afraid to use your yellows. They're great. I'm going to leave that going to white. I'm going to start back over here. Welcome. Hi, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Thanks, Amelia. Have a wonderful night. Have good dreams. And I will miss doing the videos too. So thank you. BG23. She did. She said it for me. She did. That's why I wasn't saying it out loud. She saved me. So now I'm coming in with the yellow. Smooshing it around. See, and I'm just straight away I'm coming in with the blender just to help transition that yellow in with the blue-green. And the great thing is because I'm already using blue-green, the green side of it helps you to have that yellow, makes it easier to bring yellow in with it. Not in that particular instance though. I'm just gonna, as she says, it makes it easier. So I'm just bringing in a little of that darker stuff and then softening it. That looks a bit better. And the great thing about this style is it really, really, it doesn't matter too much. It's gonna, you can be rough with it because we're trying to do nature. Trying to do a little bit of nature here. I'm gonna do some yellow to the side here. This does take a little bit longer because I'm trying to obviously blend it nicely and make it look pretty. But yeah, so another thing that you can do is if you're just using one color, you just keep everything really rough and soft and smooshy, and it's a lot faster to do. But I like it. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I sort of did a lighter version of that here, actually. Wonder where I got the idea from. Try and speed it up a little bit. And see how I'm still being, I can be rough. I don't have to be perfect. I'm obviously not being rough when I get to areas where I need to concentrate. But I'm being rough with my edges because I don't want to have like these smooth edges and then I can't blend it. It's okay to have that rough look. I want yellow into there, so... Okay, let's add a bit of yellow now. Oh, it looks so rough at the moment, doesn't it? You're just like, my goodness, where is she going with this? She's going, hurry up. That's what she's saying to herself. Taking too long. People do not want to watch you colour the whole background. Okay, so now I'm just going to start blending those edges. And because I did this whole bulk area to begin with, it's going to take a little bit more work. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm wetting this edge with the yellow. I'm quickly coming back and just wetting that edge again with my darker green. I'm going to soften the edge again with the yellow, like so. And then I'm going to come in with my blender and just soften that whole thing because I don't want it to be so yellowy blue. And that will just help to soften it all together. Oh, thanks guys. But you know, backgrounds are a bit boring. It's not like I'm really, yeah, it is a bit boring just watching someone colour a background. Anyway, so, but you still, I'm trying to share something. Oh, that's true. It is nice listening to an Aussie accent, even when you're an Aussie. It's like, oh, look, there's another Aussie. We do listen to a lot of Americans. Nothing wrong with Americans. I love the Americans, but we have them all over our TV. We have them all over our radios. Yeah, it's easy to get stuck on backgrounds. Like at the moment, I feel like I'm making a bit of a mess, but I promise it will come together because I'll make it. I'll make it come together. But yeah, I think it is nice when you start hearing some different accents. I agree. I agree. Coming in with the darker shade. I do feel like I've made a bit of a mess, but anyway, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm working it. Here we go, that's a bit better. Working it, working it. I'm gonna need to, oh my goodness. My refill for this marker is inside. Hey Siri, can you send a message to Jason and say, can you please bring my Y11 ink refill out, please?
Okay, I'll send this.
Hopefully he gets the message. Oh, get ready, ladies. He will come in and I promise you, he will be a joke. For wine. I know, I do want wine. Wine would be good. Help ease my nerves. I did actually have a glass of wine before I began, just in case I freaked out, which I was doing. He just sent me a thumbs up, so hopefully he'll be in here shortly. Okay, I should have been using my, this is so much better. Oh, goodness. I was a whacker that day. Oh, my goodness. Didn't we have so much fun on Periscope and yeah, just there's been lots of times where it's just been a ball, actually. Oh, golly. Okay, I'm getting sick of the background. It's not turning out how I wanted it to turn out. Did you find it? No, it's out there.
In your office?
Yeah.
Where?
It should be on my desk. I don't think I have it here, no, because I have the Y15. Yeah, can you check again? Thank you. Oh, he couldn't find it. I'm sure it was in there. Maybe I can get away with Y00. Ooh. No, I don't have nothing in that one. Alright. So this is the issue with backgrounds, is it uses a lot of ink. Okay, I'm just gonna... Where's that lid? Oh, there. One sec, ladies. I'm gonna cheat. So, first up, I'm gonna add a little bit more ink here. So I've got, see, wrong lid on the markers. That could have caused some problems. Okay. Right. So BG10 again. I'm just going to add a little bit more. See, I'm running out of that ink as well. Luckily. Oh, what am I doing? BG23. Can't even say the right words. All right. And I need to add some ink. Sorry. How'd you go? Did you find it?
Yeah, I did. It was under a bunch of papers.
Ah. Thank you. Thanks.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's the right one. Service, ladies. That's service. What a helpful man. Oh, he's a keeper. Sometimes he's a keeper. Generally, he's a keeper. Most of the time, he's a keeper. I'm just refilling my BG23 and then I'm going to refill the Y11 and then I'm going to do the Jennifer technique in the corner. That's what we're doing. That is the new goal. Y11, make sure I've got the right marker. Sorry. Fancy coming on, watching someone colour, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's just refill the markers. I should do a whole cleaning session, do some refilling. I should have asked him to get me a glass of wine. I mean, it is nearly 11 p.m. I could have like a glass of wine and then finish colouring and go to bed. It shows you're mortal. Yes, I am. I think there's a lot of things that I've done tonight that shows that I'm mortal. All right, okay. Markers, lids, and lids on that so I can't spill that everywhere. I've got a real mess happening here. All right. So we now have, what have I just done? I did do that. I'm not telling you. I am not telling you what I just did. Oh, oh no. That's my secret and not yours. Oh my goodness. I am annoyed with myself. No wonder. Okay. If anyone can guess what I did, I'll give you a high five. Okay. So, let is. I'm going to colour that in there. Add some more depth here. You're like, when are we getting these transparent wings, aren't you? They're coming, I promise. Okay, just going to add some more colour in here. I feel like it needs a bit more. And then some, has anyone guessed what I did yet? Add some yellow. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh, it's so much better when you've got ink in your markers. I didn't put the wrong colour in, no. I definitely put the colour I wanted in. No, I didn't spill a refill. I did mix up pen lids, yes. All right, that is a bit better on that side. Let's just fix this up a little bit. Okay, so you ready for me to tell you what I did? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is the first time you've caught a live video. I haven't. This is the first time I've done a live video in probably a year, to be honest. And it's the first time I've ever done a live video on YouTube, which is actually working out quite well. All right, so I'm messy, but what we're going to do now is the Jennifer technique, where you get some cloth, and you can use different ones for different patterns. And I've got my various ink colors blender bottle. Boy, and I haven't got much left, so I'm going to need to get some more of that. So what I'm going to do is get a piece that's not got ink on it. I'm going to add some marker fluid to it. And then I like to just make sure that I lift up all of those little segments again, so that they get flattened. And then we want to be really light to touch. And I'm going to put it down, just hold it there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And see how it leaves that beautiful little pattern. I'm going to do it again. Just moving it around. And ideally, you want to do this before you've coloured your image. And I'm trying not to press too hard because I don't want it to be a big blob. I just want to get it. I want to get the pattern. And it looks so good once it's dry. So I need to be careful now because it started to flatten a bit. So I'm just going to lift up those little segments again. So I noticed that it was starting to flatten. So I've still got plenty of ink on there, so I'm still right to go. And then I'm just coming around. Now that little section there, what I'm going to do, see I've got this little segment here, but I've got a hand there. I don't really want it over a hand. So I'm folding it up because I have in the past done it like this where I've done it at the end. So you have to learn some little techniques to trick it, don't you? So I'm just going to come in there and try and get that blot. Do the same over here. Just in these smaller areas. Like so. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba. Should be counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you've got darker sections, obviously those are the areas that are going to look, you know, it's going to pick it up a lot better. But how pretty does that look? It looks like it's sparkling. I love accidents. Happy accidents. I actually even like bad accidents because then it's a challenge to try and fix them. Like I remember once on one of my live colouring videos, I was colouring the hair and I'd already coloured all of the dress and I was doing a no lines colouring. And I'd already coloured all of the dress, I'd coloured her skin and I was colouring black hair and a great big blob came out of the marker and landed just right on the edge of her skin and in her hair. And I said, don't worry everyone, it's all good. I'm going to show you how I fix it. Oh, that's a good idea. And so I showed everyone how I fixed it. And unfortunately it was on Periscope and I lost it when they closed down their website for a while before they reopened. But yeah, that was such a cool little accident that I was able to share. So now I want to have a pencil. I'm going to get a pencil and I'm going to use that advice because I need it right there. Look, a little pencil. It's a pen. Similar method. Similar idea. Look at that. That's the beauty of live videos where someone can offer you a tip. You reach out, you grab a pencil, and you take that tip on board. How good's that? And then I'm just going to get in there. All right, I think that is pretty cool. Now, it's time for the transparent wings. Yay, they're finally saying yay. Oh my gosh. So the idea of doing the background is that in order to have transparent wings, we need to have something behind the wings. So what I'm going to do is take the color that I have behind here and then using my blender marker, I'm going to pick up the ink off that color and we're going to do a color of that inside the wing. But there's another little tip. So I'm just going to grab that ink, take a little bit off, and then I'm going to add that inside my wing. Grab a little bit more, take it off, and add that in my wing. Now, what I'm also doing is leaving a rim of white around that edge. And then at the end, using a white pencil, we're going to soften that dark line, and that white edge just sort of helps to make the wings look transparent. More so. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep grabbing some of that colour. And I'm trying to bring that colour into the wing. So I'm just going to keep coming down here. And don't worry about it staining your nib. That will die down over time. You wipe it off, but it might stain it a little bit, but that does eventually disappear as the ink sort of pushes it through. So now I'm going to add some yellow in. All right. Now come back over this side. I'll start with the yellow. Actually, I know. Yeah, I will. Just for the moment. I've got all the yellow in here, so. Everything's gone quiet. Not that you guys were making any noise before, but now I've all gone quiet. And now I'm whispering. Okay, so I'm just going to switch over to the BG. Oh, thank you, Amanda. I missed you too. I'm going to miss all of you. But you'll still see me. You'll still see me on Facebook and stuff. I'll pop my head up. That could be a bit smoother. That's better. And Now I feel like my blender marker's dying on me as well. Hold on a sec. When you haven't coloured for so long, all of a sudden you realise all of these maintenance things that you would normally do on a regular basis needed to be done. Apologise for that, but thankfully you're patient and you're understanding and hanging out with me. So nice of you. Okay, so I forgot to tell you what had happened. I got interrupted. So remember earlier when I had my 2 markers and I had put the caps on the wrong end, the wrong cap on the wrong marker, and then I changed the caps because I was like, oh, I've got to fix that, so I don't get confused. And so then, I went off and I was doing whatever, and Jason had to go and get the refill ink for the Y11. And then whilst I was waiting for him, I'm like, okay, well, I'll refill the BG23. And what I didn't realize is that I didn't actually need to refill the BG23 because the BG23 lids ended up on the BG10 marker on both ends. So I thought that the BG10 wasn't working. Well, I thought that the BG23 wasn't working because I was trying to make the BG10 work as a 23. And so when I took the lids off and I refilled it, I refilled the BG10 with the BG23. Did that make any sense? But that's what happened. So I no longer have a BG10. I have 2 BG23s, but one of them has BG10 nibs on them. But I may be able to flush it. We'll see. That's pretty funny. Yep, that was a dough. That definitely was. Do-do-do-do. So, da-da-da-da. So Chrissy, you kind of had it right. And Lou, you kind of had it right too. So, hey. At least I still have my BG23. So I can at least finish the project. It's funny, Amanda, because we had just been talking about how we double check and triple check before refilling the inks. So we'd only just had the discussion and I still made the boo-boo. Can't believe it. And I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow in here. So because we added that little bit of a pattern to the background, I'm going to add it a little bit to the wings, and then I'm going to soften it because I don't want it to be too prominent. So I'm just adding a little bit more yellow. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so make sure I'm putting the right lids on the right markers this time. And it's still a little bit damp, so it'd be so cool if you had like some veins, if you had like a even like a template, like a vein template that you could like put your material through like a, yeah, that would be cool. I wonder if I've got a leaf. Ooh. Ooh. Check this idea out. You could draw the veins in, but you could also do something like this. Then you'd want to make the whole wing darker. Oh, how cool would that be? Zoe's off on her experimentation once again. Let's see what happens. All right. It's probably not even going to work because, you know, it is ink after all. But let's see what happens. I don't think it worked. But if you had like a spray gun, that would be pretty cool. Let's try on this side. I think because of the type of material it is, like it's trying to do the dots rather than apply the ink. Maybe if I dab it all the way down like that, go like that. No. Kind of, but no. All right. Anyway, that aside, that was just a very quick experiment. We now need to fix her hand. Poor girl. She's got dotty hands. And luckily I had lids on then. And I might just tidy up this little hand here as well while I'm here. Okay. So next up is lids for that. Hey, you know, it actually kind of worked. If that underlay had been darker, especially here, that idea would have worked. So if you ever want to try that idea, do it with darker wings. Okay, so now what we want to do is make the transparent look. And to do that, like it already kind of looks transparent, but it's that line is getting in your way. So if you had no lines, it would already look good. But the trick is a Chinograph white pencil. That is your trick to hiding black lines. Well, it doesn't actually go completely over them, but I was hoping that I had a sharpener in here and I don't. So I was going to have to do it with a flat pencil, but just go right over it all. And it doesn't matter if you go right over the edge of into your background or anything because we're doing transparent, so these wings could be fluttering. But you can see the difference already. And you can go right over your colouring, and that just even helps to push it back even a little bit further, make it a little bit more transparent. But how pretty does that look already? You see the difference? You can try doing it with other white pencils, but it's not always as effective. So now I'll do this side. Over here. Sorry, my pencil's needs sharpening. So the pencil is a Chinograph white pencil. It's a special type of pencil that it's more like a, how do I explain it? It's more like a pastel. It's sort of softer. Yes, It's waxy and soft. And of course, once you use this pencil, you can't use your markers again, because all it will do is clog up the pores in the brush. So there we go. Now, see how I've got it all around the edge here? Like you can really see it in the video. You can use like a little eraser, but I don't have one. You know, like those ones on the back of your pencils? So I don't have that pencil on me here. I'll try even just using my, but you can use a little eraser just to remove some of that. There we go. So even just scratching it off. I'm trying not to get it off the black part. But that is the trick to getting your transparent looking wings when you've already got black outlines. So, but as I said, it does a bit, yeah. Yeah. I was going to do sparkles on her bodice, wasn't I? Let's do that. So I have all those cheap, you know, like the cheap $5 packs of gel pens and glitter pens, and they come in so handy because they've got so many different colors that you can sort of mix and match to work with your Copic markers. I'm just seeing, oh, I've even got some Copic ones. Put that there. And I'm going to also bring in, you know, I was telling you before how if you bring in different colors in with your design, it sort of helps to add a little bit more interest rather than just having the one blended family shade. So I think I want to use that purple. Yep, that's my plan. I would normally do pencils. Actually, I am going to. Just a little bit in her hair here. Oh, that's better. Just to help bring a little bit of that extra depth in behind here. Obviously, if you are making a card for someone, unless they are incredibly dear to you, we've spent an awful lot of time colouring this image to send to someone who doesn't understand the amount of time involved. But I know. At the end of the day, we do this to relax, and you know. But if it's someone that throws their cards away, you wouldn't want to spend this much time colouring. Sort of like, I don't know, I think some of these types of, the time that we spend colouring these types of images is worth framing in the end. Especially, you know, when you put your heart and soul into it. Have you framed any of your images before that you've coloured? I have one image that I've done. Actually, I'll show you. I have one that I coloured, that I framed. No, thank you. You okay? Jason just came in and asked me if I need anything. And then choked. Poor guy. Thanks, Lucy. So this is one of the images that I've done. This was one of the challenges that us, some crazy crafty friends that we did, where we had to do half and half. I don't know if it was actually a Make It Crafty challenge or not. Now I'm thinking it might have been a Make It Crafty challenge. But yeah, so we had to do half and half colours. And yeah, and I don't know. This was my one, and I actually framed it, and I don't frame a lot of things, so I must have been proud of this one at the time. But yeah. Those Make It Crafty challenges were so much fun. Man, we had a ball doing all those things. All right, black pencil, just adding a little bit of definition to some of these creases. You don't want to do it everywhere. Thank you. That'll do. All right, I'm overworking it now. So we're going to do the sparkles. So I'm going to try not to hit the camera again. Okay, I'm going to start with this blue, and I'm going to add little sparkles, little dots around my little blue section here. Start bringing it down. And then just do some randoms across there. Do a couple of little randoms in the middle, like so. Now I'm going to switch to a turquoisey colour, metallic green apparently. And I'm going to start coming in from the edge here. So I think of, when I'm doing this, I think of it as sort of like shading. So I start where I want to do the shading, and have all of my little dots close together. And then where my highlight is, or where I don't want to have as many, where I want my highlight, that's the word I wanted, I add just a few little dots. And the reason you add a few little darker dots is because when we add the white dots, it will help to accentuate them. So I'm just going to add a few of the green dots up into there. So think close together where you want your shading, and then further apart when you want to have it where the highlights will be. So now I'm going to add a little bit of purple just in here. Yep, happy with that. And now we're onto the white. So I've got, hopefully it's going to work for me. Yes, white is the hardest one. So it's going to do little tiny white dots. Please work. Thank you. Work, 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 work. Come on. Thank you. Okay, it's not going to behave properly, but I really want this little one. So this one that I've got here is a Pilot 0.7. It's actually quite a good one, but it's just playing up with me tonight. But another one that is good to get is the I think Sakura, I think it's called. The glaze, the Sakura glaze pen. And this actually goes on clear and then dries white. So it can be like, oh my gosh, I can't see what it's doing. And then all of a sudden you've got these great big white dots. So you have to be really careful and light when you're using this if you want small dots. So I'm just gonna, hopefully it's working. Can't see. There we go. I'm just gonna add some little dots of this one and you watch what happens as it dries. It gets really white. It's a great one, but the fact that you can't see it when it goes on can be a little bit scary. So I'm just going to wait for those to dry so I can see where I need to put more. You see how it's drying? It's like it's magic. It's like magic. See now, I feel like I've got like these speckled dots and so I need a few of them to be closer together. So you don't want to have it like looking polka dotty. I'm just making sure that it's cleaning that off. So I'm going to add a few more sort of little dots around the highlights. And then add a few more. In here. Let's see just how that dries. It's like magic, here it comes, dry for me. Here it's drying. Drying, drying, drying. Okay, so I need a few in here. So one other thing is, know how I said you put the dark ones into the lighter area? You want to put a few little white ones into your dark because that's where the light has caught the sparkle. So now I'm going to come in with green and add a few more dots in here. Just build it up a little bit more. What's what called again? Which one? The white one? It is the Sakura Glaze white pen. Let me write that down. Did you grab that one, Amanda? Okay. And so I'm just adding just a few more of the green ones throughout. And then I just want to add a bit more of that blue. I think it was this one. Did you notice how I've still left my rim light, which helps to make sure that her bodice is separated from her hair? It's really important to do that. Otherwise, again, you just struggle to have like that definition of the separation between things. Especially when you're colouring these little images, you know. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's pretty good. She looks quite sparkly. Yeah. Yay, I think we're done. I think we're done. Thanks so much for joining me. I will take a photo tomorrow. I'll put it on a card, take a photo, and I'll put it up on Facebook. And yeah. And yeah, she's one of the fairies. She's one of 3 fairies that you can that you'll get if you place an order. I mean, like you can go grab a dollar digi and they'll get thrown into your basket and you can enjoy colouring them and yeah, be awesome. Enjoy. I'm so excited to be able to have some little fairies to give to you guys. So oh, thank you so much, Chrissy. Thank you, Lou. Big hugs. And thanks for like spending so much time with me. It's been a lovely way to spend my evening. Thanks for all of your support. Love you guys. I'm going to say goodbye now. I don't know how to say goodbye. Oops. Wait, maybe do I do this one? There are other videos on YouTube that aren't live, but that I have done. So yes, for sure. Have a look on my channel. Okay, maybe if I press this one, that will work. Yes. Bye guys. I'm gonna go now. Take care.